Okay, so I got a few moments before I gotta take a mid-morning nap before shift later today, so I want to just talk about the story I've been hyping up all week. So this particular story I've actually thought of since the summertime, but I wanted to save it for today, for this upcoming weekend, because I think it would make more sense, especially with people that march with are going to be there this weekend to watch, but also they have their kids um, participating at U of A Band Day. So I think it'd be cool if um, they were able to share that with their kids and kind of show that they participated and they've accomplished things too. So 20 years ago was my senior year. I know that was a while ago, and if you do the math, you'll figure out what age I am, which is crazy. But anyways, um, but that was a really important competition for myself and the band at the time. It wasn't going to be our last, and I'll get to that in a moment. But to kind of set up the importance of that weekend for us, I kind of need to give a little bit of context as to why it was important for us. So my freshman year in 2000, I marched half the season, and then I went down with a knee injury, so I missed the rest of the rest of the season and the playoffs. We didn't compete that year for reasons I don't know why, but we didn't. So myself and the rest of the freshman band bandmates, we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know what competing was. We just played, and we played until the very first weekend of December because the football team happened to go to state. So it was a really long season for us anyways, but it had nothing to do with competition. So going into our sophomore year, new director, we had two competitions, I believe, that year. But prior to competition season happening, one of our band colleagues who graduated in 2001, we found out like early mid-September, he passed, and we didn't know details. It was very tragic, and it really was crazy to think that he was gone. And come to find out that one random morning rehearsal ended up just being us upperclassmen, sophomore, junior, senior. We were in the library, and we spent an hour with a grief counselor. Come to find out that I don't know details on it, but he took his own life, which is crazy, and we all shared our thoughts and feelings. But at the end of that session, we came to the conclusion that we're going to compete. We want to succeed, and we're going to dedicate this season to him. And for those who know who I'm talking about, for the context of this story, I won't mention his name, but there was that. So we dedicated this season to him, and although we didn't get an excellent that year at either of the competitions that we went to, we got a taste of what that was going to feel like, and that kind of gave us momentum going into the following season. So shout out to those seniors that year, class of 2002, to kind of really get the ball rolling. I think the hardest thing is to stop a boulder from going downhill, the momentum to get it, to stop it, and then to start rolling it uphill. So they helped us really get that ball going for us. Shout out to them. You know who you are, and I'll tag you in this video. Junior year, we competed in two competitions, I forget, but I feel like we didn't do so well. We didn't accomplish what we set out the year before. Going into senior year, that was to me. I don't know about the rest of my senior class of bandmates, but I was like, I wanted to make it happen. And I wanted to leave the drum line I was in at my high school in a better place than when I found it. And I wanted to give them something to not necessarily remember me by, but like, okay, I left it in a better place. Okay, take it from there, you know, kind of thing. And first competition, we actually did 3 that year, I believe. I could be wrong. I think it was 3. The very first one was CDO, early October, and or was it late September? Anyways, we competed, and I didn't think much of it. But next thing you know, I competed, but I didn't stay for the awards. I was hanging out with somebody who was in town, and they're at a pizza place, so I hung out, and I left. I didn't hear the awards, and this is back in the day before cell phones, text messaging. There was MSN Instant Messenger or whatever like that. So I didn't hear anything about it until either that Saturday night or Sunday morning, or the following Monday at school. So apparently we got an excellent, and we got some captions, which was shocking because I wasn't sure how well we did, and I didn't listen to the tapes of the judges. But I told my drumline buddies, cool, we're going to state, we're not done. To me, I felt like schools in town that knew Sunnyside and Sunnyside Band, we call ourselves the Pride of Sunnyside. I was like, I'm sure they think that this is a fluke, and I don't want that mindset. I don't want them to think that this was a fluke. I want them to know that no, this is what we do now. We're here, and we're gonna show you that we're for real. So I told them we're not done. So the next competition, I think, was Flowing Wells a couple weeks later, and we competed. But I didn't stay, and I think it's because my brother was in some sort of an event, a quinceañera. So again, I didn't stay for the awards. And I think Brian ended up representing the drumline with the award. So he received the percussion caption. So we got a drumline caption that day at Flowing Wells Band Day, and we got a bunch of captions that year. At that particular awards ceremony with another excellent, which was, I'm like, cool. But to me, the biggest one was U of A Band Day, and I've been told this is just as a performer, and I learned more about it as I got into teaching and being a instructor for various high schools in the city of Tucson, that U of A Band Day is judged harder, or a little more. They're a little more. They're sticklers for a lot of things. So I had this feeling that U of A was going to be the hardest one to get to there, and for various things. I just knew that was the original goal, was to get a good rating and excellent at U of A. So leading up to that weekend was I don't know about for everybody else, but for me I was stressed. I think because it was going to be a big audience, even though it was early in the morning for us. When you're a 55 plus member band, your competition time to compete is going to be like 8:30, 9 in the morning. So stuff like that. So you have the early call time of like 5 in the morning, 5:30, leave at a certain time, warm up. And it's probably chilly, mid-October in the morning, the time, even though you're in uniform. Anyways, so we did that competition, and we did we competed, we did the pictures, and then the host, and it's a member of the U of A band that kind of helps us get from station to station in a timely manner. And afterwards, saw us to the picture thing, but also mentioned the thing about joining the band for the following year. And in my heart, I already knew I wanted to join. I wanted to be a part of it. A couple weeks prior to competition season, I was at I think I told the drum line to be there. We didn't bring our equipment; we just brought ourselves. Um, but seeing them do a morning rehearsal and do excerpts from their show, 2003 show Teardrop, which I'll get to in a moment. And I'll never forget the cymbal line that year. They had to do a thing where they were in front of the rest of the battery, and when they played right in where they were on a knee crash, and then they did like this barrel roll kind of thing out, so that the cymbal line split, so half the cymbal line went out this way, the other half went out that way. So there was a mud pit right where they had a knee, and I remember one's like, we really have to roll, and the cymbals section leader said yeah. So I just remember, I'm like, man, if they're crazy enough to roll in the mud to do this, I'm like, I definitely want to be a part of that. So in my heart, that at that moment, I already knew I had an interest in the band, but seeing the things that they did, I was like, I want to be a part of that. So, the recruiter or the band host talked about recruiting and joining the following season, and I mentioned yes, and I forgot how I got contact information or whatever. Anyways, so we're in the stands watching the rest of the morning shows, competitions, and then U of A played in late morning, early afternoon kind of thing, followed by awards. And I think it was really nerve-wracking for the entire band, but I think there was more weight and pressure or nerves for us seniors, because we set a goal out 2 years back as sophomores with the upperclassmen to compete and do well for that individual that I mentioned earlier. And then when they called her, they said for the following bands have gotten an excellent, and they rattled on a bunch of names, and then they mentioned Sunnyside, and I just remember the entire band just like we lost it. We were so ecstatic, we were excited, and I remember my mom, like a couple sections down, looked up, and I was, I had my hands up in a Y, victory, or V, and I just remember that state of pure joy, because we accomplished what we set out to do 2 years ago. I knew we weren't done, because we had one more competition left in us, which was state, which was the very first state for us as a group, and essentially it was my last competition in a high school band. It wasn't my last game. It wasn't my last football game, because again, football team was very good. We went to state that year. I didn't go to state because I had something to do with academic decathlon related stuff, and I felt like that commitment was set in stone for me. So I made it a point that I was going to fulfill that commitment, then head up to Phoenix. Anyways, so we accomplished what we wanted to do, but we weren't done yet. So, and I don't remember. So that year it was the 2003 show Teardrop, which was an original composition by, at the time, U of A professor Jay Reese. And I might put a link of that show if y'all want to listen to that, or relive that, re-listen to that. And I was just sort of blown away by just the overall show, from a visual standpoint to the music to the drum parts, everything. It was a really nice concept. I love how it ended, as the choir, the band kind of had this like vocal part that just kind of ended the show, and it was very touching. I liked how the overall show. And I don't remember if I went home via the bus back to the school to put everything away, or if I went home with my parents from the U of A. I don't remember. But I just know that on the ride back to my house, whether it was from the school or from the U of A, that I was just still soaking in the moment of, happy with our accomplishments, but I wasn't satisfied because we weren't done, but I was just still soaking in that moment. And my mom mentioned that, seeing U of A perform their show, she could see me in that band, she could see me doing that. And I heard her, but in my mind, I was like, cool, I need to get in. I need to get admitted to the U of A, and that hasn't happened yet. I had a great GPA. I was high ranking in my class, but I will admit my SAT and ACT scores did not hit minimum, so I was a little nervous about that, but I wasn't sure, how that would affect my application status to the U of A. So we get home, and I was grabbing all my stuff, and my mom went to go check the mail, and all of a sudden she stopped. We were up in the this didn't happen in the town, so she was like halfway up the driveway. She was kind of figuring out the mail, and then there was one for me. It was from the U of A, and I think she knew what it was because of what it was on the outside, and she just kind of like had this moment of happiness, I suppose. And I was like, what is this? So I opened it up, and yes, it was my letter of acceptance from the U of A. So it's almost like she had this moment of, either she knew it was going to happen or God spoke it into existence, that she said she could see me in this band. And I was like, well, I need to get in. So I think it was God's timing that I got accepted the day that we saw the U of A band perform that day, and we did well. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm into the U of A, but I'm not in, because I still need to get into the band. I need to audition and get in, but I also need to get into the School of Music, because that was what I was going to major in, and I ended up getting my undergrad degree in that. But anyways, I look back on that season and my time in high school band, and it was hard. It was tough. There was, a lot of hard work put into it, blood, sweat, and tears. Tears, yes. Sweat, of course. Blood, maybe. But overall, I look back on that, and it's definitely a sense of pride. And, I can look back on that in good times. And I hope everybody I tag in this will feel that same way too. And I'm going to try to make this as shareable as possible, because I want those that I'm not Facebook friends with to see this, because I want you guys to know that, to those I marched in high school band with, that, we have that connection, we have that thing in common. But, I'm happy for our accomplishments, and the things that we achieved. And I swear we got a shirt at the end of that year at the band banquet of the competitions we went to, the captains we got. It was sort of like they called it a tour. How the band director at the time put that down, and I have that shirt somewhere. I gotta find it. But yeah, I'm very nostalgic, but I'm very happy, and it very I feel a sense of pride, comes with the accomplishments and the things that we accomplished at the time. And it's in the other room I can't get to, but I was going to show the pictures of our band photo that year, as well as the drum line, and then I think below it I put on a poster the picture that we took from state. So anyways, and let's before this video gets too long, but I just want to do that, but share that specific story and context and details and the things that happened after that nobody really knows about. So hope all is well, guys. You guys have a wonderful, blessed day.